guys, Coach Brian here with Revive You Training. I want to welcome you to today's video. Today's video is going to be my 6 training tips to get you to your next Hyrox start line safely, confidently, and hopefully a PR. So let's get down to topic number 1. All right, topic number 1, identify the weakness. Whether it's conditioning or strength, identify your weaknesses early so you can strengthen them and the components that support them to help you down the road. Okay, still not exactly sure how to identify your weaknesses. That's good because I was kind of in the same boat. 2023, I did a lot of CrossFit. I did a decent amount of running. I wasn't really sure what I should focus on. I never really put myself in the environment of the race until I pretty much got to race day. What I should have done was I should have done somewhat of a simulation early in my training to really see where my weaknesses are. You know what? Maybe all 8 stations don't really hurt me that bad, but the duration of the event is my weakness. So I have no base build. I have no aerobic foundation below me to support the strength that I do have. And that's going to be tip number 2. Tip number 2 is going to be base building and maintaining. Okay, let's talk base building and maintaining for Hyrox. Ideally, we're all going to come from some different kind of background, whether it's triathlon, whether it's swimming, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's ultra running. A lot of people are finding their way to Hyrox from some other sort of avenue. Like I said, with Hyrox being such a new style of sport, even though there are very similar things out there like Deca and Spartan and CrossFit and stuff like that, like this is a very specific sport. It requires a massive base while maintaining your strength. When I say strength, I don't just mean your overall strength. It's the things that you're good at. So what I recommend to someone that comes to me, say, hey, you know what? I'm a really good triathlete. I'm 6 foot tall. I'm 155 pounds. I've got this 5-hour window of output that I can do, but I lack strength. Okay, we are going to spend a 16-week period, 4 weeks of just simple strength training while maintaining your aerobic conditioning. So deloading a little bit of that aerobic conditioning to allow us to spend more quality hours in the gym, getting this person stronger. This person already has the base. We need to get them stronger. Flip-flop on the other side, you've got a CrossFitter that has crazy max rep strength. They've got crazy PRs of deadlifts and snatches and clean and jerks, and they've got this 15-minute anaerobic powerhouse of an engine, but after 30 minutes, they kind of just fall over and crash and burn. So taking this person and letting them maintain their strength, dropping their strength training, let's say they're doing CrossFit 5 days a week, we drop it down to 2 days a week for 4 weeks, and we slowly implement more conditioning on the bike, on the row, on the sleds, on the ski ergs, working on their muscular endurance and slowly increasing their running. If you're going to start adding more running volume into your Hyrox training, it's smart to establish your training on day 1 and slowly build off there. The last thing you want to do is go out there and go from running 6 miles a week to 30 2 weeks in a row. The risk of injury is so high. The risk of burnout is very high. We want to slowly build that base over time. And the nice thing about Hyrox is that it doesn't always have to be in the form of aerobic base building being running. We have plenty of other options, whether it's the assault bike, the row, the ski erg. There's so many, whether it's swimming, there's so many other ways to build that engine so that we can eventually stack all that intensity down the road. We've identified our weaknesses. We've maintained our strength, and we've established a little bit of a base. Now it's time to start kind of narrowing it in. And let's talk about running. So topic number 3 is going to be strength run. How to run, how to train your running for Hyrox. I know when people get involved in the Hyrox scene, it's very eye-grabbing, and it's such a great brand. There's so many Facebook pages and Instagram pages out there that have all these Hyrox style workouts. It's very easy to do too much too often in the compromise running world. And what I mean by that is doing station run work all the time at a high intensity. What you need to focus on is strengthening your running first and then save the compromise running towards the back and later end of your training block. So strength running is going to be in the form of race pace, slightly slower than race pace, slightly faster than race pace, long aerobic runs, and max anaerobic output runs. So that is going to be in the form of, let's talk about like threshold runs, something that you can sustain for an effort that you can sustain for 45 to 60 minutes. It's not the easiest, but it's not impossible. So going out and doing 4x4 minutes at 10K half marathon pace with 60-second rest, getting your body, if you've done the correct base building, your body's ability to produce oxygen has been improved. So by going out and doing solid 4 to 5 minute intervals, somewhat similar to like a Hyrox, where you're going out and you're running anywhere from 3:30 to 6 minute kilometers, you want to get good at running for that duration while relaxed, while still feel like you're moving quickly. So if we don't have our base, the chances of us doing that 8 times is probably not going to be sustainable. So we've established that base. It's time to go out and start implementing a little bit more speed work into our training. So whether it's 400s around the track, whether it's 5x5 minutes, whether it's a 10-mile long run, finding quality runs in your training schedule is key. It's absolutely key to spend 4 to 6, maybe 8 weeks focusing on implementing speed into your training. And that doesn't mean just going out and running 100 meters as hard as you can. Really focus on the effort, focus on the recovery. And that's where I also tell a lot of people it's great to find yourself a good coach. I don't work with a Hyrox coach. I work personally with a running coach that understands what my overall goal is. Now, we have gone through periods where it's been like, hey, I kind of want to increase my 5K. I want to be able to increase my overall top end speed just for the sake of being a runner. But ideally, we are focusing on my ability to stay right underneath my lactic threshold without going over the top, because that's going to be my goal in my running at Hyrox, is probably my half marathon pace, where I'm able to just settle into a good pace with strong form, with a good base of being able to continue to produce oxygen while still working at a somewhat faster pace for myself. So again, tip number 3, strength running, good quality miles. Okay, tip number 4 is going to be a 3-parter. We're going to talk nutrition, recovery, and education. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm going to tell you one thing. When it comes to transitioning from a 5K weekly mileage of running to a few days of CrossFit to, we'll call that 5 hours a week of training, to now I'm adding 6 to 7 hours more of training a week, nutrition is key. What we put in our body is going to help us recover, it's going to help us sleep, it's going to give us the energy we need to put down these massive workouts. So I'm just a big calories in, calories out kind of guy. I don't follow a specific diet. I don't eat just certain things. I eat what makes me happy. I eat what makes me perform well, but I also eat enough to get the job done. So if you're someone that is coming from a little bit more lower volume background, you need to allow, as we build that base, those calories need to come with it. Another thing that we were going to experience, if you're someone that maybe is coming from a little bit more of a lower impact background, you are going to start needing to implement the proper recovery, the sleds, the lunges, the running volume. All of it is going to take a pretty big effect on your body. So if you just go into this head first and you're just doing Hyrox workouts all the time, I can promise you, you're burning the match on both ends of the stick. So identify your quality days, identify your aerobic days, identify your sleep schedule, identify, just when it comes to something for Hyrox, it's just like training for a marathon. If you're in, I highly recommend you try your best to be all in. So it's best to identify your work week with your life, with your wife, with your kids, with your family, with your husband. All those things really go into effect on the stress up here, the stress in here, and the stress in the overall body, to make sure that our body is able to complete the workouts that we really want to get done, recover the way that we need to, fuel the way that we need to keep that engine burning and avoid injury and avoid burnout. So nutrition, and the last thing is going to be education. Education is key. It's everywhere. Education in the form of Hyrox information is all over the internet. There's good, there's bad, but it's everywhere. So if you ever have any questions, you want to avoid, oh shit, I forgot about this, or oh man, I didn't know about this. Education, educate yourself. It's all over YouTube, Instagram. I personally follow the RMR training podcast with Rich Ryan, Ryan Kent, and Meg Jacoby. It is more in depth of their own personal experiences and how they've kind of pivoted as their coaching programming based on their experiences with the race at an absolute elite level. And they're giving you that information. They're taking their pivots and they're putting them into their training. Hey, you know what? We tried this firsthand. I don't really think that was good. Let's go this way. Hey, you know what? I'm seeing better experience, better times, better results from taking 2 days off a week compared to one, or taking my long run from 9 miles to 12 miles, but I'm reducing my max speed training because maybe, you know what, maybe I don't really need that. Education, it's all over there for you. I'm a big fan of the running public when it comes to me as a coach, just gaining more information to give my clients. They really get in depth on the running public about training when you're not a pro athlete, when you are just the 9 to 5 mom, dad, you've got softball, you got baseball, you got kids. They really give you the confidence to remind yourself to make time for the training that matters to you. So tip number 4, little 3-parter: nutrition, education, and recovery. They're just as important as all the physical parts. All right, tip number 5. We're getting there. Tip number 5 is going to be specific and heart rate. So what I mean by specific is once you've established your strength, you've established your running volume, you've established your speed, you're eventually going to get to the point where you have to start training specifically. So we can kind of go back to our weaknesses. When people think of Hyrox, they think of, I need to go practice wall balls. I'll go do wall balls. I need to practice sandbag lunges. I'll go do sandbag lunges. You're eventually going to plateau how many sandbag walking lunges you can do fast and efficiently. Same thing with wall balls, same thing with every movement. So if you really struggle with sandbag walking lunges, spend more time doing single leg movements, doing deadlifts, doing back squats, progressively overloading that movement on your single legs, and then go back to sandbag lunges. So just doing the movements is not going to get you stronger. You need to strengthen the muscles that support those movements. For example, wall balls, coming in, doing strict press, doing thrusters, doing back squats, doing front squats, doing box jumps, things that are going to all play a role in that specific movement. Now, heart rate training. So what I mean by heart rate training is, when should I train my certain zones? This kind of goes back to the world of Hyrox and how accessible it is, as the world of Hyrox is right there at your fingertips. There are Hyrox workout pages everywhere. Now, you got to remember, you might get sent a Hyrox workout from your buddy that's doing Chicago, but you're not doing Hyrox till Las Vegas. You guys are 4 months apart. And he's like, hey, come do this workout with me. It might benefit him. It only hurts you. So for example, a little metaphor I got for you. Say your Hyrox training block is a book of matches. You got a book of matches, and they're all quality matches. They all play a role in your Hyrox training. You got 20 matches. If you are 12 weeks out from your Hyrox and you are doing 5 days a week of Hyrox specific workouts that are max output, that you're just absolutely destroying yourself in 5 days a week. Also, me, 2023, it's how I trained. You might as well just take 10 of those matches and just torch them. Now you got 10 left. You got 6 weeks left of training. You only have 10 matches left. But you spend 4 to 6, 8 weeks of building your base, building your running efficiency, building your overall strength, and keeping your heart rate in check. We might just take 4 or 5 of those matches out. Now you got 15 left. All right. It's 5 weeks out from Hyrox. It's 6 weeks out from Hyrox. It is time to start implementing a little bit more anaerobic output, longer tempo, your zone 4 work, getting more specific with the running and the station work. Start using a little bit more of that lactic threshold effort, something that you can probably only sustain for 45 minutes to an hour. All right, we took 6 more matches out. So where does that leave us with? That leaves us with like 9. So we got 9. All right. Now you're 3-4 weeks out from training. It is time to maybe come into the gym, set up a simulation. You did that simulation on week 1. All right, let's come back in. Let's set up a Hyrox race sim. You should have a good idea of what your kilometer threshold pace is, what you can do a ski in, what you can do a row in. You should have the ability to look at all your stations and have a good guesstimate of what you can do them in. All right, let's blend them together. That Hyrox sim will take 3 more matches out. All right, now we're going to start tapering. We're going to start bringing down the effort. Maybe we'll take 1 match out, 2 matches out. All right, now it's race day. Now you've still got 4, maybe 5 matches still left in that book. But if you did all that spicy stuff clear back 3-4 months before right when you first started training, there's a very good chance that by the time that you get to race day, you're going to be fried. So manage your effort based on when your A race is. I know this can get very addicting. Hyrox is a very fun sport. You are going to want to maybe put as many on your calendar as possible. Just be okay with not every one of them being a PR. But if you want to be specific, control and block out your efforts of when and how to train. All right, guys, last one. Tip number 6. It's simple. It's time. It's time. You got to make time. There's one thing that I have learned in this year, even though, like I said, I've been sober for 3.5 years, a lot of things have changed in my life. A lot of habits have faded. Some new ones have started, but I've in the year of 2023, I could still see myself holding on to some personal bad habits that I had that I really feel like Hyrox training allowed me to squash. And like I said, one thing I love about Hyrox training is it doesn't always have to be in the form of strength. It doesn't always have to be in the form of intensity. Sometimes it's just jumping on the bike for 30 minutes, jumping on the row for 30 minutes. Me being a dad, it doesn't always turn into taking my daughter out on the bike path so I can run 14 miles. Like sometimes it's coming down to the gym so I can lift weights for 20 minutes and maybe jump on the skier for some intervals. It's all making sacrifices to get what we want. And especially when it comes to being a parent, my daughter loves being in the gym. She loves seeing her dad cross the finish line huffing and puffing. I think it really sets a big example. So if you're a parent that's like, oh, you know what, I've got kids, and you know what, I bet your kid would love to see you in this atmosphere. So making time, there is enough time. I've been extremely busy, and I've had really, really slow weeks, and I've had my busiest weeks be some of my biggest training block weeks because I just managed my time better compared to like some of my other weeks where I'm like, you know what, I don't have that much work this week. I'm just going to kind of sit on the couch and I owe it to myself to be lazy. Like, you know what, I just had a crazy work week and I hit my highest running block because I knew Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I had a 90-minute block here and I took full advantage of it. So again, guys, that's it. Those are the 6 tips. I hope those help. If you guys are racing a Hyrox here in the next calendar year, drop a comment. Let me know where you guys are going. If you guys are going to be in Chicago, I hope to see you there. Hope you crushed it. If you have any questions, please drop a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. We're a few weeks away from Chicago, baby.